Welcome to House of History. I am incredibly excited to tell you what I've been working on for the past couple of months and share it. This has most definitely been my biggest passion project so far, and admittedly, it has been incredibly fun and very time consuming to research. It is the complete history of Prussia. The idea is that every episode that I will release can be a standalone episode, yet altogether they will chronicle the entire history of Prussia from its earliest days until its eventual demise. Because Prussia has always fascinated me. There are so many paradoxes in its history. Most European countries claim a history over 1,000 years old, but Prussia doesn't. It only existed for just 170 years. In the next couple of weeks, I want to take you on a journey through the complete history of Prussia. From its military kings and the wars they fought, the characteristic Prussian mitres and Grenadiermütze, its traditional Prussian thrift, and even the personal relationships between the fathers and sons of the Hohenzollern family, the family that ruled Prussia throughout the centuries. Now, looking at the prehistory of Prussia only by 12th and 13th century, the knights of the Teutonic Order that settled around the Vistula gave a slight hint of what may once be. Yet there was still no proper sign of Prussia at its greatest extent. By the Reformation, centuries later, the Margravate of Brandenburg, which would become the heartland of Prussia, was notorious for being a paradise for robber barons. It was the poorest and most backward region of all German electorates, and with much imagination, it is doubtful anything of value could have ever been established there. Besides the internal structure, as you see on this map, the geographical dispersion between the territories didn't exactly support the notion that one day these two territories would constitute one of Europe's greatest powers. And, well, it took nearly 2 centuries. In 1701, the Margrave of Brandenburg finally managed to claim the royal title, King in Prussia. It was a joke, though, to most courts around Europe, but from then on, development for Prussia rapidly accelerated. Within 50 years, there was a king of Prussia. This man, known to us as Frederick the Great, challenged 3 European great powers, and against all odds, he emerged undefeated. It was one of Prussia's greatest moments. Another 50 years later, and a period of decline seemed to fizzle out the short-lived strong Prussian state. But there, in 1850, after the defeat of Napoleon, Prussia now truly settled itself among the great European powers. Between Britain, France, Russia, and Austria, it was the smallest of them all, and it certainly had earned its spurs. That all became too clear when in 1871 what seemed impossible was achieved. The King of Prussia, following a succession of wars, became German emperor. Germany had been unified by Prussia's greatest and most cunning chancellor, Otto von Bismarck. Ironically, the unification of Germany, Prussia's greatest feat, also sparked its demise. As part of the German Empire, it began to wither away. It was slowly being absorbed. Now, there are multiple dates that can be seen as the real demise of Prussia. 1871 with the German unification, 1894 when a Bavarian prince became the prime minister of Prussia, 1918 when the Hohenzollern monarchy was abolished, or 1920 when the Prussian army was absorbed in the Reichswehr. Maybe 1932 when the Prussian government was deposed of, or perhaps furthest in time, 1947 when the Allied powers, in the wake of the Second World War, signed a decree that declared the dissolution of the Prussian state. Prussia has such a rich and exceptional history, its incredible army and radical militarism, but also its superior quality as a state, its incorruptible administration, its independent judiciary, and it was renowned for its religious toleration and enlightened education. At a certain point in the 18th century, Prussia arguably was Europe's most modern state. It enjoyed a period of great art patronage and architecture. Paradoxically, the successive generations of monarchs often had ideals that were the complete opposite of their predecessors. Hence, an era of blossoming culture was often followed by a period of incredible sobriety and militarism. Now, what still boggles my mind is the fact that Prussia has only existed as an independent state for 170 years exactly, to the day. That is one of the reasons why it is interesting to look back at it, at its kings, its society, its soldiers and wars, its international political plays. So, the next couple of weeks we will look at Prussia as it developed from that small territory with Teutonic knights near the Vistula and the robber baron-infested Margravate of Brandenburg to the greatness and splendor that Prussia would eventually achieve. We will look at the drama, the intrigues, the tragedy of its international power plays, domestic strife, and even the relationship between Hohenzollern kings as the relationships between the fathers and their heirs, their sons, was overflowing with drama as well. Now, if that sounds interesting to you, consider subscribing to my channel and check out the playlist on screen to watch the chronological history of Prussia. I'm incredibly excited for the weeks to come, and I hope you are as well. Thank you for watching this video. I would also like to thank all my patrons for their generous support. If you enjoy House of History and want to support my work, consider supporting me on Patreon. For just $1 a month, you will already gain access to the exclusive Patreon series. Don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.